Well, hi, welcome back. Let's finish up this problem, parts D, E, and F. And once again, I just want to remind you in this function, we're looking at something where the derivative of f of t literally represents not a change in y over a change in x, but the change in population over a change in time. You have to read the problem. And another thing of note, and that is when you're reading this, when you look at that, I tried to just color it in yellow. I don't know if you saw that or not. Whatever is inside the function, that is your independent variable. That's going to go on the bottom. Just like if you were taking the derivative of f of x, that would equal dy over dx. If you're doing f of t, it's going to be d something over dt. And in some other examples, if you have the function of r, then it'd be something, d something over dr. The independent variable always goes on the bottom. So let's get back to business. We've got these parts D, E, and F to finish with. And we're actually given a derivative there. I think that if this were, just a normal derivative, I'd be looking at this going, you know what? In green there, I just highlighted the 2.5. It's telling us the slope of this function is 2.5. And where is it 2.5? Well, it looks like it's 2.5 at the magic place 8. When x is 8, the slope's 2.5, except we're not using x and y anymore. What this really means for us is that, let me get my pen going back again, not at x equals 8, but when it's 1988, that was a horrible 9, but that's what it is. So when you see t is 8, that means it's 8 years after 1980. It's 1988. And that derivative, f prime, represents the change in population over change in time. We're saying the population is changing 2,500 people per year. Remember, the top's in thousands of people and the bottom's in years. It's a change in 2.5 thousands of people per year. And that is what that derivative represents. If you remember what the units represent, it is much easier. I like the next problem. It involves a little common sense. We'll see if you can figure it out. What is the sign of, is it positive or negative? What do you guys think? And then, of course, that leads you to the next part. What is the sign of the derivative of 21? Is it greater than 0? Is it less than 0? Well, I got to tell you, the instructions up top are telling me that the population was at its largest in 1995. It grew in population through the 80s and into the 90s, all the way up to 1995. And then at that point, it shrank until 2010. So when we're looking at a 1 here, that means 1981. I think the change in the population should be a positive number because it's increasing. And in 21 here, it's going to be decreasing. The trick, remember that 1 represents 1981, and this 21 here represents 2001. That's the number of years after 1980. Finally, for the last problem, estimate. Estimate f prime of 15. Well, as you've already figured out, that is 1995, 15 years after. So what's happening to the derivative then? My estimate is going to be 0. Why? Well, it's not increasing in 1995. It's not decreasing. At that moment, it's at its highest point. It's going to have a horizontal tangent line. That's what a maximum or minimum point has, a horizontal tangent line with a slope of 0. The slope at any max or min should be 0.